If you're a big swim team and you like to order a lot of gear, maybe you ought to check out Swim Outlet Team Division for these reasons. Swim teams receive a 10% discount on bulk orders. Swim teams or organizations get an 8% commission on referred sales. You'll also like their customization services, which is affordable and available at all times during the year for all team gear. With over 50,000 items in stock, you can get most anything you want. Swim Outlet Team Division. You need to try it out. You'll be
This is the Morning Swim Show for Friday, February 1st, 2013. I'm your host, Jeff Cummings. Ed Walsh is a senior at the University of Tennessee, and he was a big part of the Volunteers' win over the Georgia Bulldogs in a dual meet last weekend. To talk about that meet and much more, we welcome Ed Walsh in the Finis Monitor from Knoxville, Tennessee. Ed, good to see you today. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's our pleasure. So I imagine Tennessee is still riding high there after that big win for the men and the women over Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, we've been pumped ever since the win. It was a great meet. There was great atmosphere here. There was a lot of energy, and we're still riding off that energy and enthusiasm.
Well, going into the meet, obviously this is a big rival, Georgia. You know, not just at the SEC. You know, they're always national contenders as well. Going into the meet, what was kind of the outlook for not just the men but the women in terms of how they were going to fare against Georgia?
Well, it all started with Virginia Tech, the meet we had a few weeks before, and the women swam really well. For us men, we didn't do exactly what we wanted to do. We give credit to Virginia Tech. They opened up our eyes and made us realize that we needed a lot more enthusiasm and energy and passion when we come into duel. That helped us for the following week put a lot of energy into practice and performing just as well as we ever have. And then it led to the Georgia meet, which we wanted to use as much as we could within the energy we have, the passion, and it just carried it. We fed off both men's and women's team, and it led us into a great victory on senior night.
So basically it seemed like it was just like Tennessee was coasting through the dual meet season, and then all of a sudden you had this big wake-up call and you said, okay, we're not going to do that again.
Yeah, that's it was. As I said, Virginia Tech really opened our eyes up, and we realized that we, as a men's team, can really step up and believe in ourselves. And we brought all of that to Georgia, and I mean, it was senior night. It was this year had been through a lot, and the guys wanted to send us out the right way, and it was all to do with that.
Well, as you said, it was not just another dual meet. It was senior day. You're a senior there, so it was marking your last home dual meet at Tennessee. What were your emotions like knowing that was going to be your last home dual meet?
It was a very emotional meet for me. I knew going into it that I wanted to do something special on this day. I knew this was going to be the last time I ever race as a Tennessee Vol in the UT pool. So I really wanted to lead my team, inspire them, and give them something to remember to help them in the future. And I really think that I managed to do that on Saturday, and it was a great way of me honoring my team and the team honoring me.
Well, I would say so. You did swim very well. You won the 50 free in 1999. I believe it was your second time under 20 seconds ever in your life. I mean, but to be able to do that in season must make you feel really good about how your postseason prospects look.
I have really big goals this year. Myself and Matt Kredich sat down, and we knew that I was capable of much bigger things than what I had been doing at UT. So definitely, as we changed phases and we got into the power phase, my stroke has been starting to come together. The skills we've been working on have really allowed me to excel in the 50 and the 100 freestyle so far towards the end of the season. So we're looking for some really great swims towards SECs.
Well, you swam the 50 free in NCAAs last year. You didn't make it out of the prelims. Would you call yourself more of a 50 freestyler or 100 freestyler, or are they kind of even?
I would say I'm kind of even. One of your biggest sprinters out there. I'm I'm probably pound for pound fighting with a lot of guys who are heavier than me. So I like to consider myself very good at both events. Yeah, so I'd like to consider myself equal in both the 50 and the 100 freestyle.
Well, like you said, your competition's probably a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. You'll be racing some of those guys at the SEC. You know, some of those Auburn guys are big, tough guys. I mean, how do you kind of make it more equal and play to your advantage the fact that maybe you're not as I guess physically like strong as them? You know, obviously you're doing that, but how would you be able to work that to your advantage?
Lance Asti, one of our assistant coaches here, he likes to call me a water bug, where it seems to think that I can swim quicker than anyone on top of the water. So I use that to my ability. I like to get on top as soon as I can and start using my stroke because I have a pretty efficient stroke. So I like to use that as much as I can. And with the turn, to not get stuck in that wave off the turn, we've been working on breaking out on my side, a lot of riding that wave instead of actually getting stuck in that wave. And Bill Boomer, one of our coaches here, has actually helped me a lot with that this year, which was one of my problems in the past about getting under the wave and the breakout, getting stuck with the big guys in the race. So working out a lot of breaking out on my side, a top arm breakout, so we can carry that momentum off the wall.
Well, it obviously seems to be working. Do you think everything that you did, your performances this past weekend, everything kind of went according to schedule, or do you still think there's some things to be tweaked?
Oh, there's always things to be tweaked. I think there's a lot to work on still. I mean, I've got my background now because we just finished our aerobic phase, and as we're into our power phase, and as we come to the end of that, we're still working on a few things such as my skills, my start could be a little more efficient. My turn wasn't the best in the 50 at the Jordan meet, so I think I got a lot more in the tank this year, and hopefully at Florida I can put it all together and I can just have another efficient race there.
Yeah, that's going to be another big meet for you. But I want to look ahead to SECs. You know, knowing that you've been able to now go under 20 seconds in season, you know, what's your personal outlook for SECs?
Well, obviously I'm looking to make it back in the A final, and then we're really just focusing on executing the perfect race for myself. We tend not to focus on times as much. As long as you execute the race well, then the time will come with it. So hopefully if I nail the turn I've been working on, the start, manage to get under that wave that I've been talking about, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that wave is really big in a short course pool. You know, I guess whether it's yards or meters, I mean, to come off that turn and have that big wave that, you know, a lot of TV commentators say you could surf on that wave. I would imagine that's probably a big concern for a lot of 50 swimmers.
Yeah, I would say it is. There's been a lot of races this year where I've actually got stuck under it and I've lost everything all the momentum I had off the wall. So it's actually a huge part of the race in the 50. And if you don't, I mean, even for the big guys, if they don't get under that wave, then they're going to be trying to catch up, and it's going to be a catch-up game for them.
Now, for your first 3 years at Tennessee, the men's and women's teams were separate, and now they're merged under one head coach, Matt Kredich. All the coaches work with men and women equally. What's your take on how everyone's been dealing with the merger since, I guess, last summer?
I would say it's a really smooth transition. Matt Kredich sat us down when he was first announced the head coach, and he instantly told us that the things he expected from us and what we should expect from him. And we knew instantly that he was going to turn this program around and put it back on top again. As we know, Tennessee, we were a powerhouse, and then we started to struggle a little bit. And I honestly think that he's the right man to put us back on top and make us that powerhouse again.
Well, if none of our viewers haven't deduced by now, you came to Tennessee from London. What drew you to Knoxville?
Coach Joe Hendy came over to London and recruited me. I'd won nationals in the 50 and the 100 in 2008, and they had their eye on me ever since. And then he got in touch, him and John Tremblay, and Joe Hendy, great coach, came over, told me about Tennessee, and swooped me off my feet and managed to get me here in Knoxville. And it's been a fantastic decision, and I have no regrets.
So do you think you'll remain in the United States after graduation, or will you return to the UK?
Yes, I would actually love to stay here in Knoxville. I'm actually applying to grad school here, so hopefully I can get into our graduate program here. And then I'm actually thinking about maybe continuing my swimming career, but we're taking it step by step. We want to see how SECs and NCAAs goes.
Will you go over to Great Britain and try to make the World Championship team?
Yeah, that's another one of my goals this year. I think I have a really good chance especially under the new combined program. I've been really excelling really, and I actually think that I have a lot more to do in the long course pool as well as the yards.
So you said you're going to be going to graduate school. I understand your major is sports management, correct?
No, I'm a communications major.
Communications major. Okay, so when you go to graduate school, what do you think you'll be focusing on there?
I would like to do sports psychology in graduate school. I'm actually interested in going into coaching after my swimming career, so I really think that sports psychology could help me develop my philosophy in coaching and help me master the mental aspect of the sport because I've already got good knowledge of the physical aspect. So I'd like to master the mental aspect and see how I can get athletes to reach their potential.
Well, I'd have to say any coach who definitely knows the inner psyche of a swimmer is probably already destined for greatness.
Yes.
Any coach who can understand the mind of a swimmer, even if he's been a swimmer himself, I think probably is making a major step forward. So I really hope you succeed in that endeavor.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, Ed, and best of luck not only with the rest of the dual meet season, but at the SECs and NCAAs.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that was Tennessee's Ed Walsh joining us in the Finis Monitor. And that will do it for today's Morning Swim Show. As always, you can keep up with the latest swimming news by going to swimmingworld.com or by following us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Jeff Cummings. Thanks for watching.